Most people think intelligence is obvious. They imagine someone with perfect grades, a high IQ, a quick answer, a sharp memory. The kind of intelligence everyone can see. But some of the most powerful forms of intelligence are invisible. You don't notice them immediately. You feel their effects later. And if there's one personality type that embodies this hidden form of intelligence, it's Scorpio. The strange thing is that Scorpio rarely gets credit for it. People see the confidence, the intensity, the mystery, the emotional depth, but they completely miss what's happening underneath. Because Scorpio's greatest strength isn't what they know, it's what they notice. And those are two very different things. Think about the smartest person you've ever met. Now think about the wisest person you've ever met. They're often not the same person. One collects information, the other understands people. Scorpio tends to belong to the second group, and that's exactly why so many people underestimate them. Imagine walking into a room with 10 strangers. Everyone is talking, laughing, telling stories, trying to make a good impression. Most people are focused on themselves, how they look, how they sound, whether people like them. But Scorpio? Scorpio is usually paying attention to something else entirely. They're watching. Not in the creepy way, not in a judgmental way, in a curious way. They're studying energy. They're noticing who dominates conversations, who seeks validation, who interrupts others, who seems genuine, who seems performative. And before the night is over, Scorpio has learned more about everyone in the room than most people realize. The funny thing is that nobody notices this happening because Scorpio doesn't announce it. They don't walk around saying, "I've figured everyone out." They simply observe. And observation is a superpower in a world addicted to speaking. Most people reveal themselves constantly, without realizing it. Their insecurities, their ambitions, their fears, their intentions. They're all there, hidden inside behavior. And behavior never lies for very long. That's one of the biggest differences between Scorpio and everyone else. Most people listen to words. Scorpio listens to patterns. And patterns are much harder to fake. A person can lie once. A person can wear a mask for a day. But maintaining a false identity over time? That's almost impossible. Eventually, the cracks appear. Eventually, the truth leaks out. And Scorpio notices those cracks long before anyone else. That's why Scorpio often experiences something strange, a feeling, an instinct, a quiet certainty about someone. Not because they have proof, not because they have evidence, but because they've unconsciously connected dozens of tiny details that other people missed. Weeks later, months later, sometimes years later, the truth finally comes out, and everyone says, "I had no idea." Meanwhile, Scorpio is sitting there thinking, "I knew something felt off." This happens so often that people start calling Scorpio psychic. But the truth is actually much more interesting. Scorpio isn't seeing the future. They're seeing human nature. And human nature is surprisingly predictable. Most people repeat the same emotional patterns over and over. The same fears, the same habits, the same mistakes, the same reactions, the same self-sabotage, the same excuses, different faces, different names, same patterns. Scorpio understands this. And once you understand patterns, you start seeing outcomes before they happen. Think about a chess grandmaster. They aren't guessing. They aren't reading minds. They're recognizing patterns they've seen hundreds of times before. Scorpio approaches people the same way. Every conversation becomes information. Every experience becomes insight. Every betrayal becomes education. Every disappointment becomes wisdom. Nothing gets wasted. That's why Scorpio often becomes more powerful with age. Life keeps teaching lessons. Scorpio keeps collecting them. While other people move on from experiences, Scorpio studies them, analyzes them, stores them away. And one day those lessons connect. Suddenly they understand something they couldn't see before. This creates an intelligence that doesn't always look impressive on the surface, but it becomes incredibly powerful over time. Because understanding people is one of the most valuable skills in life. Think about it. Business is people. Relationships are people. Leadership is people. Influence is people. Success is people. The better you understand human nature, the better you understand almost everything. And Scorpio has a natural fascination with human nature. They want to know why people do what they do, why they lie, why they love, why they betray, why they stay, why they leave, why they destroy good things, why they repeat toxic patterns. Questions like these fascinate Scorpio, not because they're cynical, because they're searching for truth. And truth matters deeply to Scorpio, far more than most people realize. In fact, one of Scorpio's greatest frustrations is watching people ignore obvious truths. Have you ever noticed how people sometimes believe what they want to believe, even when reality is screaming at them? Scorpio notices this constantly. A friend ignores red flags in a relationship. A coworker trusts someone they shouldn't trust. A family member keeps making the same mistake over and over. Everyone else seems surprised when things fall apart. Scorpio often isn't. Because Scorpio saw the warning signs. Not because they're smarter, because they were paying attention. That's the hidden intelligence nobody talks about. Attention. Real attention. The ability to observe reality without constantly filtering it through wishful thinking. That skill alone can change your life. And Scorpio tends to possess it naturally. Of course, this isn't always easy. Sometimes it's exhausting. Sometimes Scorpio notices things they wish they didn't. Fake smiles, hidden resentment, jealousy disguised as friendship, manipulation disguised as kindness, dishonesty disguised as confidence. Once you see these things, you can't unsee them. And that's one reason Scorpio sometimes feels different from other people. They're aware of undercurrents that others ignore. Imagine standing in the ocean. Most people focus on the waves. Scorpio notices the current underneath. And the current is what determines where everything eventually goes. That's why Scorpio often seems calm during situations that make other people panic. Because while everyone else is reacting to the wave, Scorpio is watching the current. They're looking deeper, trying to understand what's really happening. And that deeper perspective changes everything. Because panic comes from confusion. Understanding creates clarity. And clarity creates power. Not power over other people. Power over yourself. Power over your decisions. Power over your future. This is why Scorpio often appears composed in difficult situations. Not because they don't feel fear. Not because they don't feel pain. They do. Deeply. Sometimes more deeply than anyone realizes. But they've learned something important. Emotions provide information. They should not always control decisions. That's another hidden aspect of Scorpio intelligence. Contrary to popular belief, Scorpio is not controlled by emotion. Scorpio studies emotion, their own emotions, other people's emotions, human emotion itself. They're fascinated by it, because emotions reveal truth. They reveal desire, fear, motivation, weakness, strength. Everything important hides inside emotion. And the more Scorpio understands emotion, the more they understand people. That's why so many Scorpios feel older than their age. Even when they're young, they've spent years studying things most people avoid: pain, loss, trust, fear, betrayal, transformation, topics that make others uncomfortable. But Scorpio walks toward those subjects, not away from them. Because hidden inside every uncomfortable truth, there's a lesson. And Scorpio wants the lesson, even when it's painful. Especially when it's painful. Because deep down, Scorpio understands something most people learn too late. The greatest intelligence isn't knowing everything. It's understanding what truly matters. And that's exactly where Scorpio becomes different. Because while the world is busy chasing attention, Scorpio is chasing understanding. While others are trying to impress people, Scorpio is trying to understand people. And those two paths lead to very different destinations. The people who seek attention may become popular, but the people who understand human nature become powerful. And that hidden power is where the real Scorpio story begins. One of the biggest reasons people underestimate Scorpio is because they misunderstand what intelligence actually looks like. They expect intelligence to be loud, fast, visible. They expect the smartest person in the room to be the one doing the most talking, the one with all the answers, the one dominating the conversation. But Scorpio has learned something many people never discover. The person who understands the room often says the least. Think about that. When someone talks constantly, they're giving away information, their beliefs, their fears, their insecurities, their priorities, their weaknesses. Everything leaks through conversation. But when someone listens carefully, they gain information without giving much away themselves. This is one reason Scorpio often feels impossible to read. While everyone else is revealing themselves, Scorpio is quietly collecting data. Not because they're trying to manipulate anyone, because they're naturally curious. Scorpio wants to understand what makes people tick.
What drives them? What motivates them? What they truly want beneath all the social masks. And that's where Scorpio becomes different. Because most people judge behavior, Scorpio try to understand the reason behind behavior. There's a huge difference. Imagine someone walks into a room acting arrogant. Most people immediately decide that person is arrogant. Case closed. Scorpio isn't satisfied with that answer. Scorpio wants to know why. What insecurity is hiding underneath that confidence? What happened in their past? What are they trying to prove? Who are they trying to impress? What are they afraid people will discover? Suddenly, the situation becomes much more interesting. Because once you understand motivation, behavior starts making sense. And that's exactly how Scorpio reads people. Not from the outside, from the inside. Most people look at actions. Scorpio looks at causes. That's why Scorpio often understands people better than they understand themselves. And honestly, that realization makes some people uncomfortable. Because the average person spends a lot of time building an image, a version of themselves they want the world to see. Strong, confident, successful, happy, in control. But Scorpio isn't fascinated by the image. Scorpio is fascinated by what's underneath it. And once Scorpio starts paying attention, the mask usually doesn't last very long. Not because people are bad actors, because maintaining a false identity requires enormous energy. Eventually, the truth slips out. Maybe during a stressful moment, maybe during a conflict, maybe after a disappointment, maybe after success. But sooner or later, people reveal themselves, always. And Scorpio knows it. That's why Scorpio tends to be patient. They don't need immediate answers. They don't need immediate proof. Time usually reveals everything. This patience gives Scorpio a massive advantage. Most people rush to conclusions. Scorpio waits. Most people react. Scorpio observes. Most people judge. Scorpio investigates. And over time, those differences create remarkable accuracy. Have you ever noticed how some people seem wonderful at first but disappointing later? Or how some people seem ordinary at first but become extraordinary once you truly know them? Scorpio understands this better than most. Because Scorpio rarely becomes impressed by first impressions. They've learned that first impressions are often performances. The real person appears later. The real person appears when life gets difficult, when stress arrives, when pressure increases, when expectations aren't met. That's where character lives. And Scorpio pays attention to character, not appearances, not popularity, not image, character. This is one reason Scorpio often forms very strong opinions about trust. Trust isn't something Scorpio gives easily. And it's not because Scorpio is negative. It's because Scorpio understands how valuable trust really is. They know trust affects everything: relationships, friendships, partnerships, families, businesses. Entire lives can be transformed by trust or destroyed by the lack of it. So Scorpio studies trust carefully. Who keeps their word? Who changes when circumstances change? Who remains loyal when there's nothing to gain? Who only stays when things are easy? Questions like these matter deeply to Scorpio because these questions reveal character, and character predicts future behavior. This is where Scorpio's hidden intelligence becomes incredibly practical. Let's say two people tell you exactly the same thing. The words are identical. The promises are identical. The story is identical. Most people focus on the words. Scorpio focuses on the person. Who is speaking? What's their history? What's their pattern? Do their actions support their claims? Do they behave consistently? Suddenly, the answer becomes much clearer because context matters more than words, and Scorpio understands context instinctively. That's why Scorpio often senses trouble before everyone else. Not because they possess magical powers, because they notice inconsistencies. Human beings leave clues everywhere. Tiny clues, almost invisible clues. Changes in behavior, changes in tone, changes in effort, changes in energy. Most people ignore these things. Scorpio doesn't. And over time, these clues begin connecting together like pieces of a puzzle. The picture becomes clearer, the truth becomes visible, the future becomes easier to predict. This ability can feel almost supernatural to people who don't understand it. But it's actually the result of deep observation, deep attention, deep awareness. And awareness is one of the most valuable skills a person can develop, especially in today's world, because modern life rewards distraction. Everyone is scrolling, everyone is reacting, everyone is consuming information constantly. Very few people are actually observing. Very few people are paying attention. Scorpio still does, and that creates an advantage that's becoming increasingly rare. Think about how often people miss what's directly in front of them. the friend who's struggling, the coworker who's lying, the relationship that's slowly falling apart, the opportunity everyone overlooked, the warning sign nobody noticed. These things aren't hidden, they're simply ignored. Scorpio notices them, and that changes outcomes. Because awareness creates options. When you see something early, you can respond early. When you understand a situation clearly, you make better decisions. When you understand people accurately, you avoid unnecessary mistakes. This is one reason Scorpio often seems prepared for situations that surprise everyone else. The signs were there. Scorpio saw them. The clues existed. Scorpio noticed them. The pattern was visible. Scorpio recognized it. And while everyone else was focused on the surface, Scorpio was looking underneath. That's the real secret. Scorpio doesn't just see what is happening. Scorpio wants to know why it's happening. And once you understand the why, the what becomes much easier to predict. Maybe that's why Scorpio often feels different from the people around them. Because they're playing a different game. Most people are focused on appearances. Scorpio is focused on reality. Most people are focused on words. Scorpio is focused on meaning. Most people are focused on moments. Scorpio is focused on patterns. And patterns tell the truth eventually. Every single time. The question is simply whether you're paying enough attention to see them. And Scorpio almost always is. Comment, I read between the lines, this feels familiar. And subscribe to Scorpio Secrets because in part 3, we're going to uncover why Scorpio's hidden intelligence often makes them seem almost psychic, and why people are shocked when Scorpio's predictions come true.
There's something that happens to Scorpio over and over again throughout life. And every time it happens, people react the same way. First, they doubt Scorpio. Then they ignore Scorpio. Then they dismiss Scorpio. And finally, they ask, "How did you know?" If you're a Scorpio, you've probably experienced this more times than you can count. You notice something, a feeling, a pattern, a shift in energy, a change in behavior. You can't fully explain it yet. You don't have concrete proof. You don't have a stack of evidence. But something inside you says, pay attention. And for some reason, that feeling is usually right. Not always, but often enough to make people wonder if Scorpio possesses some kind of supernatural ability. The truth is both simpler and more fascinating. Scorpio isn't predicting the future. Scorpio is recognizing trajectories. Think of it like standing on top of a hill. Most people are looking at where something is. Scorpio is looking at where it's going. That's a completely different perspective. Imagine watching a small crack appear in a wall. Most people ignore it. It's tiny, harmless, barely noticeable. Scorpio pays attention because Scorpio understands something important. Small cracks rarely stay small forever. The crack itself isn't the problem. The direction is the problem. And that's how Scorpio views people, relationships, friendships, business partnerships, life itself. They're constantly asking, where is this leading? Not just, what is happening right now? That question changes everything. Because most people become trapped in the present moment. Scorpio studies momentum, and momentum predicts outcomes. This is why Scorpio often appears uncannily accurate. Not because they're psychic, because they're paying attention to direction. Direction matters more than most people realize. A ship that's 1 degree off course doesn't seem lost today. But give it enough time, and it ends up in a completely different destination. Scorpio understands this. That's why they rarely ignore small warning signs. Small behaviors matter. Small habits matter. Small decisions matter. Because today's habits become tomorrow's reality. And Scorpio knows it. This awareness creates something that many people mistake for intuition. Now, don't get me wrong, Scorpio absolutely has strong intuition. But intuition isn't magic. It's intelligence operating beneath conscious awareness. It's your mind recognizing patterns before your conscious brain catches up. And Scorpio's mind is constantly processing patterns, even when they don't realize it. Especially when they don't realize it. That's why many Scorpios have experienced moments where they couldn't explain why they knew something. They just knew. Weeks later, the evidence appeared. Months later, the truth emerged. And suddenly everyone else caught up to what Scorpio felt from the beginning. Those moments leave an impression, not just on Scorpio, on everyone around them. Because people remember accuracy. Especially accuracy they couldn't explain. And over time, Scorpio develops a reputation. The person who notices things. The person who sees through situations. The person who understands people. The person who somehow knows what's coming. But here's something most people never talk about. This ability isn't always a gift. Sometimes it's exhausting. Because seeing reality clearly comes with a price. Imagine noticing problems before everyone else notices them. Imagine seeing red flags while everyone else sees green lights. Imagine understanding someone's true intentions while everyone else is still being charmed. That's not always fun. In fact, it can be incredibly lonely. Because awareness often arrives before validation. Scorpio sees the pattern today. The world sees it 6 months later. During those 6 months, Scorpio often feels misunderstood. People assume they're overthinking, being negative, being suspicious, being dramatic. Then reality proves them right. Again, and again, and again. This repeated experience changes Scorpio. It makes them trust their observations more. Not blindly, but confidently. Because experience becomes evidence. The older Scorpio gets, the less they ignore their instincts. Not because they think they're always right, because they've learned their observations deserve attention. That's wisdom. Real wisdom. And wisdom is different from intelligence. Intelligence helps you understand information. Wisdom helps you understand life. Scorpio eventually develops both, because life forces them to. Scorpio doesn't usually learn through theory. Scorpio learns through experience, through heartbreak, through betrayal, through transformation, through loss, through rebuilding, through survival. These experiences teach lessons no classroom can provide. And every lesson sharpens Scorpio's perception. Every challenge increases awareness. Every setback reveals truth. Over time, Scorpio becomes incredibly difficult to fool. Not because they're cynical, because they've seen too much. They understand how people behave under pressure. They understand how fear changes decisions. They understand how insecurity creates deception. They understand how ego creates blindness. They understand human nature. And once you understand human nature, life starts making more sense. You stop being shocked by certain behaviors. You stop being surprised by certain outcomes. You stop expecting people to become something they're consistently showing you they're not. That's another hidden aspect of Scorpio intelligence. Acceptance. Not passive acceptance, accurate acceptance. The ability to see reality as it is, not as you wish it would be. This is incredibly rare. Most people spend years fighting reality. Scorpio studies it. Most people argue with truth. Scorpio tries to understand it. Most people look away from uncomfortable facts. Scorpio leans closer. And that's why Scorpio often transforms faster than other people. Because transformation requires truth. You can't change what you refuse to see. Scorpio sees it, even when it's painful, especially when it's painful. This brings us to perhaps the greatest secret of Scorpio intelligence. It's not observation. It's not intuition. It's not pattern recognition. It's not psychological insight. Those things are powerful, but they're not the most important thing. The greatest strength of Scorpio is the willingness to confront reality. Most people avoid difficult truths. Scorpio eventually walks straight toward them. Because Scorpio understands something that changes everything. Truth hurts, but confusion hurts longer. Reality can be painful, but illusion is dangerous. A hard truth can set you free. A comforting lie can trap you for years. And once Scorpio learns this lesson, their entire perspective changes. They stop chasing appearances. They stop chasing approval. They stop chasing superficial validation. Instead, they chase understanding. And understanding becomes power. Not power over other people, power over themselves, power over fear, power over uncertainty, power over the future. That is the hidden intelligence nobody talks about. Not the ability to impress people, the ability to understand life, the ability to understand human nature, the ability to recognize patterns, the ability to face reality, the ability to transform knowledge into wisdom. That's what makes Scorpio different. And that's why so many people underestimate Scorpio at first. Because this kind of intelligence isn't loud. It doesn't demand attention. It doesn't announce itself. It simply works. Quietly, consistently, powerfully. Until one day people look back and realize something. Scorpio saw it coming all along. Not because Scorpio was psychic. Not because Scorpio was lucky. Because Scorpio was paying attention. While everyone else was looking at the surface, Scorpio was looking deeper. And in a world obsessed with appearances, the people who understand what's underneath will always have the advantage. If this felt like looking into a mirror, comment, "I see patterns." And if you're ready to go even deeper into the psychology of Scorpio, make sure you subscribe to Scorpio Secrets, because in the next video, we're uncovering a question that fascinates millions of people. Why Scorpio can read people instantly. And once you understand that answer, you'll never look at Scorpio the same way again.